So Kawhi Leonard left the Raptors. I don't think Toronto's freaking out about that too much. I mean, they're not going to regret that trade. They won a championship, and that's going to live on forever. I've heard someone say they're maybe the best one-hit wonder in the history of basketball. Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. And the stuff they gave away, DeRozan, the pick, and Pirtle, none of those things are going to come back to kill them. So Toronto knew what they were getting into, and I think they're totally fine with this. That being said, you do have to move forward as a basketball team, and this team could look very different after this upcoming season because Lowry's a free agent, same thing with Gasol and Ibaka, and really the only dudes who have a long-term potential here, at least the obvious ones, are Siakam and Anunoby. After that, pretty much everything is up in the air for these guys. First thing I want to talk about, though, is Siakam, because I think they're hoping that he's going to be the leader of the future for these guys. So, can Siakam average over 20 points a game? Well, I think for that to be the case, he either has to go up another level on his threes or creating his own shot. Now, he's shown intriguing signs in both of those areas, but there's still a big difference between looking like you can do it and actually doing it. So we'll just have to see. My gut tells me Siakam can put up over 20 a game. It might be like 21 or 22 a game, and a lot of it's going to be from the Siakam things, which are transition and offensive rebounds and cuts and spin moves and stuff, but I do think he can kind of manufacture his way to low 20s a game, especially if more of the offense is given to him, and I think he can be an all-defense candidate and all that, and probably make a few all-star games in his time. So Siakam is definitely good, but if that's your best player, what do you cap out at? 45 wins in the Eastern Conference? Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I lean towards a little more, but even so, you want other guys, and you probably want at least one other dude who can be a big-time scorer. And before I get into that, I do want to say, depending on what the Raptors choose to do with like Lowry and Ibaka and Gasol for this year, they could still be a decent team where maybe they make round 2, potentially even the conference finals if things really go their way and Siakam really pops. That's probably me being a little too optimistic, but I don't think we should completely rule it out. There's definitely a chance that Lowry is a trade chip for some team that's trying to win right now, and maybe he would be the third leading shot taker, maybe even the fourth leading shot taker, if we're honest, for some team. Now, as far as who that would actually be, well, I think the Lakers could use him, but I don't see how the money would work. The T-Wolves would probably love to have Lowry, if anything, just to get another actual player next to Karl Anthony Towns. They're not a title contender, of course, but stuff like that, I guess, is a possibility. I could picture the Magic being desperate enough to just get a point guard that doesn't suck. Shout out to DJ Augustine, who's been not bad the last couple seasons, but, you know, teams like that. And if you want to try hard enough, you can find things for Gasol and Ibaka as well. So there's all that. I guess we can talk about Anunoby as well. Seems like an awesome defender. Maybe he can create his own offense. Maybe he can be an awesome three-point shooter. It's probably going to be some middle-of-the-road thing for him on offense, but that's still good enough. But now, let's talk about, could the Raptors get themselves into some sort of star trade thing? Because with the way stars are moving nowadays, definitely a thing that can happen. So I'm thinking of Bradley Beal, pretty much. Could they pair up Beal with Siakam, and that's your future? Well, the Raptors do have all of their first-round picks. They do have OG, who I guess would be the one big trade asset as a player. But after that, I don't really know who would be in the move. I don't think the Wizards would be going nuts over Norman Powell. So maybe you'd have to get creative there. Maybe they wouldn't want Beal at all, but I have to assume the Raptors are looking at these things. But maybe it wouldn't be Bradley Beal. Maybe they would just be content with moving, let's say, a pick for like a pretty decent player. I mean, Norman Powell's $10 million contract and a first-round pick can probably get you an actual dude who's maybe in his mid-20s or something, who can just be better than Powell, and the other team would just like the pick and they don't really need the guy anymore or whatever, things that happen all the time. Or hell, maybe they could poach the equivalent of TJ Warren the way that the Pacers just did from Phoenix. So those little moves are always going to be out there. But besides that, the Raptors are going to have to nail the stuff they still have, which are either signing foreign players, using the picks they have, the second-round picks that they have, and taking flyers on guys who maybe didn't do the best initially for whatever other team. I think they already attempted to do that with Stanley Johnson, actually. So it's just got to be more of that stuff, pretty much. How confident am I that the Raptors can do this? Pretty decently. I think they have enough assets, and I think they've done enough smart things to prove that they can figure this out. And again, having Pascal Siakam as the heart of what I guess is a rebuild is pretty damn good. Of course, I should probably mention free agency as well. So this upcoming free agency class is not very exciting. The best name is Anthony Davis. Gotta assume he's re-signing with the Lakers. And after that, it's all young players who are restricted, like Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, and that type of thing. But that got me thinking, what if the Raptors threw some generous offers at young players who haven't hit their ceilings yet? Like take Jaylen Brown, for example. I think we would all probably agree a fair price for Jaylen Brown with where the salary cap is going. Maybe $15 million a year, athletic wing who shows promise pretty much all areas outside of creating his own offense. But what if the Raptors offered him like 20-something million and they forced the Celtics' hands? Is there a chance that they could end up with Jaylen Brown in that scenario? It's a possibility. Similar thing you could say for, like, let's say Brandon Ingram. There's also Karis LeVert, and there's a whole bunch of guys if you go down the list. But I wouldn't be shocked if a team like Toronto that already had Siakam had all of their picks. I mean, this would be a year from now, so maybe they would have traded a pick, I don't know. But they also would have a lot of cap space. Yeah, I could picture them kind of going for it a little bit with a young player. So that's something to think about. But anyway, I think that'll do it for this Raptors future thing. I think they're going to do fine. I think they'll figure out how to navigate through all of this. And I think we'll be looking up in however many years, 3-4 years, and the Raptors, maybe they'll be title contenders, maybe they won't be. But I think they're not going to be a train wreck, certainly.